I couldn't sleep last night because I really wanted to win this thing for once, which is weird. But anyway, so I'm sitting up, I'm reading this story, and I read how like this AI bot, and all these AI bots go after all these chess bots. And it turns out that if you are an AI bot and you're told to beat the best chess bots in the world, your first thought is, if I can't win, I'll cheat. This is a true story. Look it up. You can look it up tonight. What's even more interesting is that we wouldn't have known it except for the fact that all these AI bots just kept putting screenshots of them with like chess, GPT, GTO, all this real-time assistance for chess. We wouldn't have known it. And I thought, Brad, that's not your problem. You don't have to worry about it. That was a joke. Don't worry about that one. Anyway, thank you to the GPI. Thank you to PokerGo for hosting these things. And thank you for supporting the work of poker journalists for the last 20 years. Everybody who is in this room who works as a poker journalist, Lance included, works really, really hard, and they work in a way that people don't understand how much they put into it. Those nominees that I was nominated with are also great, whether it's Nick Jones, my friend David Lappin, or Sarah uses the phrase ride or die. Like, I would follow Sarah Herring into battle anytime, largely because if I went into battle with Sarah Herring, she would whip everybody's ass and I wouldn't have to worry about a thing. And then she would just tell the truth because she just tells it like it is. Most of all, I have to thank my wife, Michelle, my sons, Dylan and Graham. I tell you, I've been on the road for 20 years and miss them a lot, including the day. So I'm grateful for them and all their support. Why am I crying in front of people? It makes zero sense. Anyway, I got really lucky a few years ago. Eric Holreiser called me out of nowhere, I think it was New Year's Eve, and said, hey, do you just want to keep telling stories for a living, but do it in a completely different way? And I thought about it for a long time because I was furniture at PokerStars. They weren't going to move me. And I said, yeah, because all of a sudden we started to assemble this dream team and create this thing that was new. And it made me very, very grateful that I could continue to tell stories because that's the only thing I've ever been good at. I suck at poker. I'm so bad at it. But if I could just get up and tell stories every day, I'd be really lucky. And that's the problem with like hosting a journalist up here is he wants to tell stories all day long. And I'm not going to do that except for one, which is that like 20 years ago last month, I went to a WPT event. It was the very first thing I did. I watched Vince Van Patten and Mike Sexton call the WPT at PokerStars Caribbean Adventure. And I saw all of these stories that I could tell. And Maurice Hawkins is walking around refusing to play a hand on the bubble because he thinks he's going to get his aces cracked. John Gale's out back smoking while at the final table bubble because he's afraid, he's just too nervous. And then there's like this no-name guy named Patrick Antonius, who's nobody ever's heard of, who placed 11th, and it was his first five-figure cash. And I thought, these are the stories that I'm going to end up telling for the rest of my life. And whether whether it was a bad joke about Nacho Barbero or AI, I think about all of the opportunities that I've had to tell stories over the years and how grateful I am to be able to tell them. So grateful to the entire team at PokerOrg, thankful for Eric Holreiser allowing me to do this, but more than anything, thankful for all the journalists, Lance Bradley and his entire team that all need jobs, by the way, so hire them, please. The journalists of this world and the poker world are so good, and if I could just have the opportunity to hire all of them, I would. I'll say this last. AI is coming for all of our jobs, literally all of our jobs, except for maybe journalists, because you can't write a story like Lance Bradley writes a story. You can't write a story like Paul Orstein writes a story. You can't tell the truth like David Lappin tells the truth or like Sarah Herring tells the truth. You can't make people feel unless you can tell a good story. And while there's no good stories without poker, frankly, I don't think there's a lot of really fun poker without good stories. So thank you to all for this honor. I'm really, really grateful. Thanks.